Hi, everybody. Today we'll talk about where there is a will, there is a way. You will find yourself in situations when you will want to give up. Keep in mind that where there is a will, there is a way. If you can't find the solution yourself, find help from people you trust. The solution may be easier than you might imagine. One Sunday morning, Daddy Hedgehog and Mummy Hedgehog were awakened by strong sounds. When they got up to see what was going on, they found a somewhat funny but serious situation in the kitchen. One of their children was biting the chair leg, and the other one was tackling an empty bowl, and the third one was licking the carpet. Mummy Hedgehog started panicking since they had no food left and clearly their children were very hungry. When Daddy Hedgehog finally calmed down everyone, he told them he knows where they can find some food. So he got dressed and stepped onto the field. And with the turnip, I hope it's ripe so we can cook a delicious lunch. But the turnip was not yet ripe, and the hedgehog went looking for something else to eat while repeating, where there is a will, there is a way. And he was right. He decided to take the route that got him to the top of the hill where he saw a rabbit watching his field of tomatoes with pride and satisfaction. Good morning, the hedgehog greeted the rabbit and took off his hat. What beautiful tomatoes you have! Would you mind giving me some of them so that I may feed my hungry children? The rabbit looks at the tiny hedgehog and rudely replies, "Go away and take your funny legs with you." The hedgehog felt offended as he loved his legs very much. "There's nothing wrong with my legs. They are very nice and I can run really fast." The rabbit started laughing. "You can't run fast at all with those tiny legs. But if you're so sure about your legs and speed, then let's have a race. Do you see that freshly plowed field? The first one to get to the end of it wins." The hedgehog tried to rattle the rabbit's nose a bit more and made a joke. "Dear rabbit, you're so lucky that the furrows are so deep. If you not, you would probably just give up at the middle of the race and go home when you would see me run past you so fast." To make matters even worse, the hedgehog dared to offer a bet to the rabbit. "If you're so sure that you can win, dear rabbit, why don't we make it worth stretching my legs? I bet you my field of turnips for your field of tomatoes. That is, if you are not afraid." The rabbit felt very offended by everything, and Hedgehog said the took bet to prove his point. Never has a hedgehog ever beaten a rabbit. The rabbit screamed at the hedgehog, "Fine, but first let me go eat my breakfast, and I recommend you to do the same, as no one should compete with an empty stomach. Meet you there in half an hour," said the hedgehog, and then went home. Hedgehog ran home and told his wife everything that had happened. "Oh my, what have you done, my dear husband?" asked the mama hedgehog. "Don't worry, my dear. Where there is a will, there is a way," replied the daddy hedgehog, and then replied and explained his plan. The plan was very simple. Mama Hedgehog was to put on her husband's clothes and go to the end of the field into the small furrow as her husband was. And just as the rabbit was getting close to her, she should run past the end of the finished line at the end of the field. And when the rabbit gets there, just nods if he says or asks anything. If it should happen that rabbit would want a rematch, she should accept it with a nod and then they start running when the rabbit gives the go. But she should run just a bit and then hide and prepare herself for the next race if need be. After all said and done, the hedgehogs went to the field as they had planned. The rabbit was nervously waiting to prove his point. As arrived at the starting line, the two of them just looked at each other, nodded, and positioned themselves for the race. The rabbit counted down to start racing, and as they began to run, the hedgehog took only a few steps and then hid into the furrow. Just before the rabbit arrived at the finish line, the mama hedgehog jumped out of the furrow in her husband's suit and passed the finish line first. This is not possible, objected the rabbit. He demanded a rematch, and when he lost again, he demanded a rematch 30 more times. But every time the hedgehog would appear in front of him at the finish line. Eventually, the rabbit was too exhausted to go on like this, and he fell onto the ground. And he admitted the defeat and gave the field of tomatoes to the hedgehog. And before you go, dear hedgehog, please let me know, how did you manage to beat me as a rabbit? And the hedgehog only smiled and replied, you see, I had no choice. I had to provide for my family. Where there is a will, there is a way. And since that day on, the hedgehog family was never hungry again, and the rabbit was careful of who and what he would make jokes of. You will find yourself situations when you will want to give up. Keep in your mind that where there is a will, there is a way. If you can't find the solution yourself, find help from people who would help you. That's very important. When solving problems, don't hesitate to ask for help. You will solve problems faster and easier with the help of others. Plus, all those things are very much required to proceed with your problem solving ability. Stay blessed.